Hi there. We're excited to share with you a new development here at Southridge, our new church app. Our Southridge app is available in your preferred app store and is a free download to your smartphone or tablet. We're excited for this to be a way to stay connected and informed throughout the week, a way to access church resources from the palm of your hand, and for it to be an environmentally friendly alternative to many of the paper items that we print as a church. While the layout is hopefully very user-friendly and simple to navigate, we wanted to highlight just a couple things to help make your experience easier. Upon downloading and opening the app for the first time, select Allow in regards to receiving notifications. In just a moment, I'll show you where to customize the alerts that you receive. The next prompt is to customize notifications based on your location. Feel free to allow or to skip based on your comfort. Next, to customize your notifications, go to the 3-line menu bar in the top left and select Settings from the menu that appears. Under Notifications, you'll find a list of several categories that you can opt into based on your personal engagement with our community and the notifications that you want to receive. General notifications would include urgent church-wide alerts such as snow day cancellations or other emergencies. By selecting St. Catharines, Welland, or Vineland, you'll receive specific notifications for those sites. For example, service time changes or reminders regarding your specific anchor cause. Those who wish to engage with spiritual practices during the week but who would like a reminder alert can select this setting, and we'll send you any weekly or daily content directly to your device. Parents, for info or reminders specific to your child's age group, you can opt into these groups as well. Back in the main page, use the bottom navigation bar to make your way around the app. The homepage will give you the most recent updates, a place to check in if you're new, a link to our current weekly service content, and info about some of the most important parts of what makes us Southridge. The Connect page provides you with ways to get in touch with us directly and through social media channels. The Events page will help you stay up to date on upcoming things in our community and allows you to add events directly to your device's calendar. Under the Resources tab, you'll find links to past messages that you may have missed or want to take in again. From the app, you can watch the video, listen to the audio, download directly to your device, or take notes. In the Resources section, you'll also find a Bible app, direct links to spiritual practices, our prayer wall, our Southridge podcast, and more. The last tab is the Giving page. This allows you to set up one-time or recurring gifts in a secure and easy manner. We're excited for you to download this app and to connect with you in this way. If you have any questions, feel free to email me directly at ksmalden@southridgechurch.ca. Parents, we want this morning to be a meaningful experience for your whole family. So if you scroll down below the video player on our online service page, you'll find videos and other resources for your kids. There's something there for preschoolers all the way up to junior high, and we hope that it will prompt some great conversation in your home this week. For the past couple months, we have loved seeing so many of your faces during our services and what we're calling our weekly community videos. If you haven't sent us a video yet, we would love it if you would. In fact, why not take a minute right before the service starts and record one right now? If you check out southridgechurch.ca/community videos, you'll find some simple instructions on what to say, how to set up the video on your cell phone's camera, and a spot to upload it to us. Whether it's by yourself, with your family, your life group, or roommates, we would love to see your face and hear a bit of an update about how life is going for you these days.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to another edition of our online weekend service. It's great that through the pandemic and especially in this lockdown condition that we can still be tracking together as a community in this way. If you've been journeying with us for the past number of months or through the whole 10 months, you already know the drill, but if you're new, a special welcome to you. I would encourage you as we get going to just scroll down below this video player and you'll see a number of links that represent some supports to help make the most of this experience. Things like chord charts if you're a musician and you want to play along, or transcripts if English isn't your first language and you want to help understand things better. There are a number of different supports there as well. I'd encourage you to download the Southridge app to further support both this experience and your week-to-week spiritual activity. At the end of the day, we're hoping that this can be an active experience that we participate in and not just spectate. And so to that end, we're going to kind of engage in musical worship to start. But before we do, I know I've had a number of you reach out to me and just kind of follow up on the message that I delivered last week, wondering which hoodie I bought. Now, if you don't know what I'm referring to, I'd encourage you to go back and watch last week's message. I bought a hoodie for my wife, Becky, and people wondered which one I bought because there was one that I was supposed to buy and one that my daughter recommended that I buy. At the end of the day, here's a family photo of us on Christmas Day, and I'll be happy to inform you that my answer to every one of you who's asked me is that I bought the hoodie that Becky asked me to buy. I bought the hoodie that she wanted. And so for today, the moral of the story is make sure that you know, first things first, who's in charge. Make sure that you know who's in charge. And I hope that that's a good segue into this time of worship, because what we want to do as we begin to sing together is to remind ourselves and to open our hearts up to the reality that God is sovereign and in control of all things, even during a pandemic, that He loves us dearly, and that He invites each of us to allow Him to be in charge of and to be the leader of our lives. Gang, at the end of the day, that's what worship is all about. It's about ascribing worth to God. And so as we begin by singing this song, King of My Heart, let's prepare our hearts to allow God to be that leader in our lives today. Welcome to Southridge, everyone. Here we go.
Good morning, everybody. Glad you're joining us today, and we're going to begin our worship time together by singing a song about the goodness of God, inviting Him to be the wind in our sails, the fire in our veins, and just to fill us with a passion for His love, for His grace, for His kingdom. So let's sing this out together. Let the King of my heart.
Let the King of my heart be the mountain where I run, the fountain I drink from. Oh, He is my song. Let the King of my heart be the shadow where I hide, are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the wind inside my sails, the anchor in the waves. Oh, he is my song. Let the King of my heart be the fire inside my veins, the echo of my days. Oh, he is my song. You are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh, you are good, good. Oh,
You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. No, you're never gonna let me down. Sing, you're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down. You're never gonna let me down.
you are good, good. Oh, 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 you are good.
You're never gonna let me down. You are good. You're never gonna let me down. Jesus, you're good. You're never gonna let me down. You are good. You're never gonna let me down.
Who am I that the highest King would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh, his love for me. Oh, his love for me. Who the sun sets free, oh, is free indeed. I'm a child of God, yes I am.
Free at last, he has ransomed me. His grace runs deep. While I was a slave to sin, Jesus died for me. Yes, he died for me.
free. Oh, it's free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. I am chosen, not forsaken. I am who you say I am. You are for me, not against me. I am who you say I am. Oh, I am who you say I am. Who the sun sets free, oh, it's free indeed. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. In my Father's house. In my Father's house, there's a place for me. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am. I'm a child. I'm a child of God. Yes, I am.
Last week, we practiced the art of letting go, of releasing all of the trouble and turmoil of 2020 and opening ourselves up to the fresh blank page of 2021. But as this week has already shown, there's still plenty of uncertainty in the air. And maybe some of us last week, as we looked at that blank paper, thought, man, I don't even know what to write on here, what to hope for from the year ahead. But the very good news of a life lived with God is that even when we don't know what tomorrow will hold, we know the one who holds tomorrow. In Matthew chapter 6, the writer tells us, here's the bottom line. Do not worry about your life. Don't worry about what you will eat or what you will drink. Don't worry about how you clothe your body. Living is about more than merely eating, and the body is about more than dressing up. Look at the birds in the sky. They don't store food for winter. They don't plant gardens. They don't sow or reap, and yet they are always fed because your heavenly Father feeds them. And you are even more precious to God than a beautiful bird. If He looks after them, of course He will look after you. Worrying doesn't do any good. Who here can claim to add even an hour to their life by worrying? So this morning we want to practice a breath prayer to help train ourselves to truly live out of that place of peace and trust in Jesus. Breath prayer is an ancient practice that aligns simple phrases with our natural breathing rhythm. That makes it an exercise that not only naturally, sort of physiologically counters anxiety, but also makes it a really easy practice to engage in throughout your regular day. So to begin, I want you to just start to pay attention to your breathing right now. Maybe even slow it down a bit. Take your breaths deeper than you were before. Let your shoulders relax. Try to release any tension you might be holding in your body, in your hands, your face. Matthew makes it sound very easy, doesn't he? Don't worry. It's simple, just don't do it. But to let go of worry, we've got to grab on to something else. So what if this year you let go of worrying as an Olympic sport and instead grabbed on to how deeply and dearly you are loved by God? What if you made it your mission every time worry starts to crouch at your door to remind yourself that your job in this life is to simply be loved by God, knowing that He's got you? Your job is not to do, but to be. So as you take your next breath in, I want you to say or think simply the word be. Be. And then as you exhale, loved. Be loved. Not perfect, not even good, just loved. So keep going with that now. Let it become your prayer. You're not an insignificant sparrow. You're not forgotten. God's eyes are focused on you. Be loved. Now let's change the phrase ever so slightly, so that our prayer is also that we could become the love of God to those in the world around us. So breathe in, be, breathe out, love. Father, I pray that you would so permeate our hearts with your love, with your being, that it transforms us at our very core. In Jesus, we pray. Amen.
I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. Ooh, oh, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong when I think I'm weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. And when I don't belong, oh, you say I am yours. have every failure, God. You'll have every victory.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your presence with us. We just thank you that even in the time of crisis or a pandemic, in all the different ways that it impacts us, we just thank you for the reassurance that you are with us, that you love us, that you care for us. And we just pray, Heavenly Father, for each member of our church family, that you will continue to provide for all their needs. And Lord, help us to be open to one another in ways that we can help and be of assistance, and bringing each other before your presence through prayer. And just, Lord, help us to increase in our love for one another during this time. And we just thank you and pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
As we continue this morning, we hope that you know that you are not only loved by God, but also loved by this church family. It might be hard to feel that connection some days, since most of us haven't seen each other in close to a year, but it's true. One way we're trying to remind everyone of this greater community that we're a part of is through our weekly community videos. Check out this week's clips.
I'm going to tell it.
Oh, okay. Go.
Hello, this is Kelly, and I'm Wilson.
This is Wilson. We attend the Vineland location, and we've been very much missing going every week to church and seeing everyone. What's been the worst thing we've watched on Netflix?
The one with the giant monkey. That's the scariest one in Paw Patrol.
Oh, there's a Paw Patrol episode that we don't like. We watched it during COVID, and it's too scary. It's got a giant monkey, right? How about this? What's making you feel happy? Has this been making you feel happy?
Let's start over, because Penny is kind of in the way.
This is Penny. Come here, Penny. I don't know if we can see her, but we got a puppy during COVID, and she's been giving us lots of joy. Lots of headaches, but lots of joy, right? Okay, well guys, we miss you, and we look forward to when we can come back every week and see you all. What should we say?
And we should say bye.
Bye, perfect.
Hello, we are Herb and Hildegard Wahl, and we are from St. Catherine's, from Southridge location.
We had an interesting year. It all started with our vacation in the Dominican Republic with my fall, which required a hip surgery right there in Punta Cana. Finally, back home, I needed 2 more surgeries and several months of hospital stay to fix the damage done by the first surgery. I am so grateful and thankful to God that I have come this far. One of the highlights for me this last year was to realize the blessing of a community, which has encouraged me, blessed me, and prayed for me and supported me. First and foremost, my family, my husband, our children, our grandchildren, our wonderful friends, our amazing life group, and our church family at Southridge. How often have I thanked God for all of you and for the gift of a praying community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mandy Visser, and I attend St. Catherine's location. I'm in my favorite room of my house, my kitchen, and I'm going to show you my fridge. Hold on. So I'd say my fridge is pretty normal for a person who lives alone. A lot of condiments, a lot of drinks, but I have a lot of eggs and a lot of butter. And so now I'm going to show you why I have all of that. If you know me, you know I'm a baker. So the eggs and butter come in handy when you come to my freezer. I have all those packages are individually wrapped snacks for tours that I feed, I guess, and cookies, because you never know when you just might need a bag of cookies.
If you haven't sent us a video yet, being stuck at home during a lockdown is a perfect opportunity to record one. We would love to see you, your roommates, your family, your pets, or whoever else might be in your household bubble. Now, whether you're a longtime member of the Southridge family or if you've just been recently joining us during this online season, whether you're here in Niagara or elsewhere in the world, we would love to hear from you. If you head over to southridgechurch.ca/community videos, you'll find instructions on setting up the camera on your phone, some suggestions about what to share, and a place to upload your video. If you've already sent us a community video, maybe you would consider sending in a prayer, just like we heard from Rick a few minutes ago. Our times together in these services are so much richer when we're all a part of it. So if you'd consider praying during a service, you can also find the instructions for making that video on the same webpage. Another way that we all contribute to this church family is through our financial giving. We are so thankful for the faithfulness that you've shown in this area, especially through the challenges of the past year. Your generosity has enabled the continuation of so many amazing supports in our community, and we are excited to see that continue as we launch into 2021. If you're able to give today, you can do so by either scrolling down to the giving section on this page or by visiting our Southridge app. Now, if you're new around here and just checking us out, we are not looking for your money. Instead, we would love to send you a gift of our Artisan Southridge Jam. This social enterprise makes this delicious treat as a way to help disrupt the cycle of homelessness here in Niagara, and we would love to give you a jar. No strings attached, just our way of saying welcome, thanks for being here, and we hope you feel right at home. Simply scroll down to the section called New Here and let us know where to send it. Now, whether you're a regular or a newcomer, we know that this season has been a difficult one for so many. And we want you to know that we're praying for you. And we'd also encourage you to be praying for each other. So for more information about how we can stay connected as a community through prayer, check out this video.
As part of God's family at Southridge, it's important that everyone feels connected to God and to each other.
Unfortunately, especially in these times, it's way too easy to feel disconnected and scattered.
But even when we can't be in the same physical space together, we can still remain spiritually united and actively care for one another through prayer.
One of the ways we can do this is by engaging with our online prayer wall.
The prayer wall makes it easy for anyone to make a request for prayer and to also pray for others' requests and to let that person know that they've been prayed for.
Often we feel like it has to be something really dramatic or terrible in order to ask for prayer. But prayer wall isn't there just for the big, bad emergencies of life.
We can ask for prayer for anything that we're processing, big or small.
For courage in challenging situations.
For stamina to make it through a tough day.
For wisdom on a decision we are facing.
For rest when we're exhausted.
For peace when we're anxious.
Or even a simple prayer of gratitude for another day of life.
You can easily find the prayer wall by going onto southridgechurch.ca and clicking the prayer wall tab at the top of our homepage.
Take a moment today and post a prayer request. You can make it completely anonymous or include your name.
Then, take a moment to pray for some of the other things listed there.
And be sure to click the I prayed for this button to let those people know someone was caring for them through prayer.
It's super simple and easy to use. And the amazing thing is, prayer really does make a difference in this world and in our lives.
So join us on the prayer wall this week and let's experience the power of prayer and spiritual connection together.
We hope that you'll take a moment to visit the prayer wall this week, either on our website or on the Southridge app. And while you're at either of those online locations, we also want to remind you of an amazing free resource that is available to you. It's called Right Now Media, and it's a completely free library of video teaching on all kinds of topics for all ages. You can get access to it by visiting the top menu of our webpage or under the resources section on the app. Once you've logged in, there are literally thousands of videos to check out. And if that feels a little bit overwhelming, under the menu you'll find our Southridge channel with some specific resources that we recommend. If one of your New Year's resolutions is to dig deeper into your faith, or if you're just looking for something other than Netflix to watch during lockdown, we hope that this will be a helpful tool. Now this morning, we are going to be continuing on in our first series of 2021 called Hitting Refresh. If you missed Jeff kicking it off last week, I strongly urge you to go back and check it out. But to continue on today, here's our teaching pastor, Mike Krause.
Every year around this time, we as a community spend some Sundays looking back at the year that was, looking ahead at the year that's coming, and asking ourselves some intentional questions about what kind of changes do we need to see and to make in us and around us to enter into the new year in a way that better reflects the person of Jesus. And it seems to me and to us that there's no more important year to be doing that than in the year that followed what 2020 was for most of us. And given all that it was, I think one of the elements of 2020 that we have talked about the least and maybe not talked about enough was the impact that 2020 and the pandemic have had on relationships. There are some studies now being done about this, in particular about the relationship between the pandemic and how people are doing in marriage, but the themes apply to roommates and friendships, family relationships, anybody who lives in the same space together and bubbled together, because they were saying that people who are used to being together with each other a few hours a day were now, for long stretches, being forced to relate to each other 24/7. And it's a lot harder to be in relationship with somebody 24/7 than it is for just a couple hours a day. Some of the personality quirks and character flaws that are livable in small doses become really hard when they are all the time. The boredom sets in and people begin to get irritable, never mind the stresses that were introduced in the last year financially, employment-wise, even just the anxiety of the pandemic itself, introducing all these negative emotions into these relationships that were being now done in confined spaces around the clock. It has been taxing on many relationships. Never mind the fact that for some of us, there are small children who are a part of the equation as well. And we're now, instead of sending them off to school, sharing space and desks and resources and computers and bandwidth. Never mind having to be homeschool teacher, which we never signed up for. There's frustration introduced in all of that. There's complications for our sibling relationships and family relationships and friendships when it comes to how we have each uniquely thought about the pandemic and the individual decisions we've made about masking and social distancing and vaccinations. It's all made relationships more complicated. And in the spirit of pressing refresh, what would it look like to press refresh on the relationships that matter most to us? Last week, Jeff talked about pressing refresh on our relationship with God, acknowledging that our life with God is not something that we can earn or deserve if we work hard enough. It's just something that we receive as a free gift in humility, knowing that God gives it just because God loves us. We receive it in faith, not because we mentally believe that there is a God, but faith as in trusting with our whole lives that the way of Jesus that's described in the scriptures and exemplified in the life of Jesus himself is the way to experience abundant life, which means being transformed into the character of Jesus and being committed to advancing the cause of God in the world, living our life to fulfill God's wish list of filling the world with love, rather than living our life expecting God to fulfill our wish list of making us comfortable. The question that was rumbling around in my head as Jeff was talking about all this was, how would you know that you had successfully pressed refresh on your life with God? What would that look like? And one of the verses that came to mind was out of the Gospel of John, chapter 13, in verse 35, where Jesus says, he lays it clear, this is how everyone will know that you're my disciples, when you love each other. Jesus says it's pretty plain and simple. The evidence that you are living your life aligned with the life of God will be seen in the way that you love other people. In fact, Jesus says much of the same thing at the end of his most famous sermon, the Sermon on the Mount, the one that I hope that many, if not all of us, are taking the advantage of the opportunity to read throughout this month in order to recalibrate our compass in a Jesus-y direction for 2021. But at the end of the Sermon on the Mount, after Jesus has said everything that he wants to say about a life with God, this is how he summarizes. He said, therefore, you should treat people in the same way you want people to treat you. This is the law and the prophets. Jesus says, if you want to live a completely biblical life, if you want to live a life in alignment with the life of God, it will show up in the way that you treat other people. Period. Notice what Jesus doesn't say. He doesn't say, people will know that you're my disciples because you prayed a prayer once when you were a kid, or because you rededicated your life to Jesus, though those can be good things. He doesn't say people will know that you're my disciple because you feel it on the inside, though I hope you do. He doesn't say everyone will know that you follow me because you raise your hands and sing and worship, though maybe less at home. He doesn't say they'll know by the number of Bible verses you read, or whether you read the whole Sermon on the Mount every day this month, or by the number of minutes that you pray. Jesus doesn't say everyone will know that you're my follower by your inspirational social media posts or the God talk in your conversation. He doesn't say everyone will know that you're my followers because of your church work or your commitment to volunteerism or your heart for missionary work to love and serve people across an ocean somewhere. He says, everyone will know that you love me by the way you love the people around you, the people, especially the people who are closest to you. I saw this tweet a little while ago by Dr. Jennifer Powell McNutt that I thought summarizes exactly what the Bible says in very simple terms. It just says this question: are you a Christian? Answer: ask my neighbor. Right? The truth is that if you want to know whether I am devoted to living my life in alignment with the life of Jesus, you shouldn't ask me. You should ask my wife, Krista. You should ask my kids. Ask my brothers. Ask my dad or my stepmom or my mother-in-law. Ask my best friends. Right? Because the people who see our lives the best, the people who know us the deepest, are the people that we live in closest contact with most of the time. Right? They're the ones who see us at our worst and at our best. They're the ones who know our uncensored thoughts and who hear our unfiltered words. They're the ones who watch us fly off the handle or who are too often the objects of our wrath. They are the ones who hear the sincerity or the insincerity of our attempts to reconcile or not. They're the ones who see our character flaws, who know our moods, who see what we're like when we're frustrated. They're the ones who see how we spend our money, whether generously or selfishly. They're the ones who see how we talk about and treat people who are different than us. They're the ones who see how much space we create and sacrifice we live on behalf of others. They're the ones who see us for who we truly are. And this is the point, that if we're going to enter into 2021 pressing refresh on our relationship with God, that is necessarily going to mean and need and require that we press refresh on our relationships with the people who are closest to us. Those two things are related. In fact, a month ago, Dr. Drew Hart told us as a community that Jesus' two great commandments are love God with all your heart and soul and mind and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And he said, if you're going to love God with all your heart and soul and mind and strength, you're going to have to love your neighbor as yourself. And in fact, he went further and said, one of the best ways, if not the primary way, to love God with all your heart and soul and mind and strength is to love your neighbor as yourself, to love the people who are closest to you, because those two things go together. We recently finished a book study in the book of Galatians, and near the end, the Apostle Paul writes these words, which we read often in our community. It says, the fruit of the Spirit is love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control. The Apostle Paul says, when you press reset in your life with God, the life of God comes to live in your life by the power of the Holy Spirit. And what spills out of your life, what radiates from your life, the aroma that your life gives off is the aroma of Jesus, which is the aroma of love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness in relationship and gentleness with each other and self-control. Imagine how our closest relationships, our roommates, our family, our siblings, our parents, our kids, our spouses, our friends, imagine how those relationships would be transformed if they suddenly received an infusion of love and joy and peace and patience and so on. They would be fundamentally different, transformed, changed to look more like Jesus. Because that's what happens when you press refresh with God. Paul says just before the fruit of the Spirit in verse 16, he says, I say, be guided by the Spirit, and you won't carry out your selfish desires. One of Paul's points in this whole passage is that the impact of the selfishness of sin, or the sin of selfishness, is that it destroys relationships and tears down people. So the opposite is true. That when you fill your relationships with the fruit of the Spirit, the life of God, the love of Jesus, you will actually bring healing and growth to people, and you will build up relationships. The very best thing you can do to invest, to press refresh on the relationships of the people who are closest to you, the people you love the most, who love you the most, is to press refresh on your relationship with God. It would change everything, especially with our kids. I mean, love, joy, peace, patience, those would transform our friendships and our marriages, our family relationships. But around Southridge, we believe that primary caregivers are also the primary spiritual influence in the life of our kids. And that being surrounded by Christ-centered adults is the best way to raise up kids to become Christ-centered adults. The very best thing you can do to parent your kids is not to learn a bunch of tips and tricks and techniques about parenting to get them to eat their vegetables or to resist peer pressure. The very best thing you can do is become more like Jesus, because kids emulate what they see. A couple months ago, the world's most famous and arguably the best golfer in history, Tiger Woods, played a tournament in which he partnered with his 11-year-old son, Charlie. And after the tournament was done, aside from everybody being astonished at how amazing Charlie was at golf, people could only talk about how similar Charlie was to his father, Tiger. In fact, I saw a video. I'll show you a short clip of it. Check out how similar the two of them are to each other.
He's really embracing this moment.
The mannerisms, club twirls, the gait, the fist pumps, like father, like son.
There's that fist pump that you're talking about.
What makes Charlie so much like Tiger? It's not that Tiger, took a course to learn a bunch of tips and tricks and techniques to parent Charlie to become like Tiger. He didn't, sit Charlie down and say, okay, when you're done your golf swing, spin your club before you bring it down. Or when you sink a long putt, turn your hips and make a fist and then pump it in the air. Charlie became what he saw. And that's the primary way that our kids are formed. That's the primary way that they're shaped into the image of Jesus. Now, that's not to say that tips and tricks and techniques when it comes to marriage or parenting aren't important. They really, really are. And in fact, we need to invest in that. 500 years ago, Martin Luther said, pray as though everything depends on God, because it does. And that's kind of what we've been talking about. But then he followed it up by saying, but then work as though everything depends on you, because it does. Right? Martin Luther is saying, yes, invest in your relationship with God and have the life of God infuse your life and have that life of God spill out of your life, because this is all about what God is doing. Of course, that's true. But then he went on to say, but work your tail off to make sure that it's actually happening in your life and in your relationships. He wasn't saying anything different than what the Apostle Paul said in Ephesians 5. In verse 18, the Apostle Paul says, be filled with the Spirit and allow the Holy Spirit's power and life in your life control your life so that it produces behaviors that look like Jesus. But then 3 verses later, he writes this, submit to each other out of respect for Christ. He says, be filled with the Spirit and be transformed. And then intentionally make the decision to live your life in loving submission to those who are closest to you. And then he fleshes that out in terms of marriages and family, parent-child relationships. And he could have talked about sibling relationships, but he talked about co-worker relationships. In those days, they would have lived, co-workers, slaves, and masters would have lived in the same household. So household, roommate, friendship relationships. He says, be transformed by the Spirit and then make the intentional decision about how you're going to live this out in the context of the relationships that are closest to you. Intentionally invest in pressing reset on those relationships so that they look more like Jesus. If I were to challenge us heading into 2021, I would say we need to intentionally invest in the relationships that are closest to us. I mean, going into this year in another lockdown, COVID has sort of reduced our world to these essential relationships anyway. So what would it look like if we just spent a disproportionate amount of time and energy investing in pressing refresh on those relationships to make them look more like Christ? On our marriages and in our parenting. We've already heard about right now media and our Southridge channel. One of the things that we have done with our Southridge channel is to stock it full of marriage and parenting curricula that we could take advantage of as families or as life groups to walk with each other, to invest with each other in making our marriages and our parenting and our family relationships look more like Jesus. In fact, one of the short-term groups that starts in February is a parenting group that uses material that came out of a church in Georgia. Sign up for that group. Make an intentional investment in your marriage or your parenting. But what about more broadly than that? If we just decided, each one of us, to identify somebody in our world who most gives off the aroma of Jesus, and to ask them whether we couldn't sit down with them and ask them questions about how they brought that into their marriage, if that's appropriate, or into their parenting relationships, or into their friendships, or into their work environment, just to sit down with somebody whose life radiates love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control, and ask them, what did that look like in your relationships that mattered most to you? What if, and I want to challenge all of us to do this week, what if each one of us identified 2 to 3 people who are closest to us, who know us the best and who love us the most, and ask them whether they would sit down with us and have the fruit, virtually of course, and have the fruit of the Spirit open in front of us, and ask them for their loving and prayerful feedback on the ways in which they see the life of Jesus in us, on how loving we are, how much joy we bring, how much peace we make, how much patience we exude, how much kindness and goodness and so on, to give us feedback on the ways that they see Jesus and to challenge us in the ways that we could better reflect Jesus in our lives and talk about what that could look like. Friends, heading into this new year, the relationships that are most active in our lives are our relationship with God and our relationships with the people in our bubble, the people who are closest, the people who know us best and who love us most, the people that we know best and that we love the most, the people who see us at our best and our worst. What would it look like for us to press refresh on those relationships, to be intentional in the coming days and weeks and months, to infuse those relationships with love and joy and peace and patience and so on in a really intentional way, so that those relationships look more like Jesus than ever before? How could that transform our 2021? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we want to be people whose life with you is reflected in our love for the people that you've brought into our lives, and especially for the people who are closest. God, would you infuse our hearts with the desire to be filled with your Spirit, so that our lives would radiate love and joy and peace and so on. Would you, God, so fill our lives and loving relationships with the fruit of your Spirit that everyone looking in from the outside would know that the center of our life is you. Would you transform our friendships, our families, our households, our marriages, and our relationships with our parents and our kids, in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Set apart, my Lord, for thee. Take my moments and my days, let them flow in endless praise. Let them flow in endless praise. Of thy love, take my feet and let them be swift and beautiful for thee, swift and beautiful for thee. My Lord, I poured at thy feet its treasure stored. Take myself and I will be ever only all for thee, ever only all for thee.
Well, I hope God has challenged each of us and us together to be the kind of people who are allowing our faith to most affect the people closest to us. May we be those kind of people in the coming year. As Mike alluded to, we're in the middle of this journey, tracking together every day through these 4 weeks, through the 3 chapters of Jesus' most famous sermon, the Sermon on the Mount. And if you haven't been tracking yet, I'd encourage you to start on that journey through the remainder of the month of January. We've got a number of resources available to support that, different kind of reading plans. There are different levels that we've made made available as well. You can access on the app the spiritual practices notification just to remind you of that. And if you were looking for another way to experience the Sermon on the Mount, maybe in a more accessible way, we've actually had one of our church members, Rowan Reimer, record a reading of it so that she can kind of just read it to us day to day. So check this out as a sample of Rowan's reading.
Happy are people who are hopeless, because the kingdom of heaven is theirs. Happy are people who grieve, because they will be made glad. Happy are people who are humble, because they will inherit the earth. Happy are people who are hungry and thirsty for righteousness, because they will be fed until they are full. Happy are people who show mercy, because they will receive mercy. Happy are people who have pure hearts, because they will see God. Happy are people who make peace, because they will be called God's children. Happy are people whose lives are harassed, because they are righteous, because the kingdom of heaven is theirs.
We hope that whether it's Rowan reading to you or you actually engaging in reading a translation of those 3 chapters yourself, that you will join in day by day in this journey of allowing Jesus' most famous sermon to soak into our hearts so that God can fully press the refresh button on the kind of lives he's inviting us into this year. As we wrap things up, as always, if you could use prayer, go to our Southridge prayer wall at southridgechurch.ca/prayer. Or if you have needs of a greater intensity and you'd love some pastoral support, reach out to us by emailing us at contact@southridgechurch.ca. We would love you to fill out the contact form there, or you can go to our website, southridgechurch.ca/contact. And in addition to that, we're going to, at the end of the service, have some questions left on the screen as conversation starters to continue to stimulate this season of reflection so that God can hit the refresh button in our minds and hearts to the life that he's inviting us into personally and together as a church family. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you again in 7 days. Have a great week, everyone. Take care.